Let's say Hashem does it, and then you say, "Oh, thank you, Hashem, for doing that. I'm so grateful. I'm going to give tzedakah." That's okay, right? We all agree to that.
Right.
Right? So you're saying in advance. Um, I can't think of a concrete source. The only thing I can think of is the Haftarah from last week from Yiftach. He made a mistake because he said whatever comes out of my house first, and it ended up being his daughter. But other than that, that the basic concept was I'll consecrate. Which was what? Eliezer said. Right. There are, in other words, what you can't. That's not to test Hashem. But if you say, look, if you do this, they'll be so overwhelmed with gratitude, and I'm going to want to give I'll do a mitzvah. I'm making a commitment. Um, Maybe it'll be better to do it unconditionally. I mean, I'm sure it's better to do it unconditionally. Question is, if you're doing it conditionally, I can't think of any direct halachic statements.
In the literature that they send out.
They say, if such and such happens to, then you should give money?
No. They'll give an example of a person like
if somebody gives money. Well, that's certainly the Gemara says. If you say, I'm giving this money and I want it to be a merit that my son should get.
No. The verse, I'll give an example. Like, sometimes these papers sometimes stories.
Yeah.
Mr. Schwartz said, if Hashem will get my husband, get my wife this job, I will give.
Right.
So that's different than I will give. I hope that Hashem will do.
Right. It is different. I think it's okay. I can't think of a direct source for it, except for the Yiftach story. I don't know of any. I guess you have to think, why is it forbidden? I don't know of any reason that it's forbidden. The idea of testing, the idea of testing Hashem, I think, is. And it says I think the one exception is Maser. I think even with Maser of money, certainly with Maser of produce, there's a pasuk in one of the Nevi'im that says, literally it says, test me, the Chanunim, test me. See if I don't open the windows of heaven and shower you with blessings from giving the tithing properly. So that's an area where you're allowed to say, look, Hashem, I'm doing it, and now do what you said you're going to do, and you can kind of wait and expect to see Hashem's blessing as a result. In other areas, you can't say, look, Hashem already warned you. I don't know how, when, what. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit there and wait for results or expect, demand anything or expect anything in return. I think that's what it means not to test Hashem. This kind of, you certainly can't say, I'm going to do this and now I expect X, Y, and Z. But to say, look, if this happens, I'm going to do such and such. I think you're trying to motivate Hashem. I don't know. I don't know.
In a way, that's saying, if Hashem doesn't come through in the way that I want, I won't give.
Right. I understand.
And we're always told that in any way Hashem comes through.
You should do that anyways, right. You can imagine, you know what? It's in the following. I'm just drawing an analogy. It's not. I went to the rabbi speak about, we have the 9 days coming up, and you don't eat meat. But one of the exceptions is for a Seudas Mitzvah. If you make, let's say, a siyum, you're learning something and you're celebrating, you can eat meat. There's a camps sometimes do that. They line up people. I think in Camp Aguda, they used to do that for the very, they have hundreds of kids they have to feed. It's hard to do it all with dairy. They would have scheduled people making a siyum each night, and then they would serve. But I think one night they would have a siyum and not serve meat, just to make the point that it's not all about the meat. That celebrating, you don't just study Torah so that you can eat meat. They would make a point of having one night with a siyum. But I remember a rabbi once spoke, and I think it was Rabbi Reisman, and he said, look, if, is it okay, this whole practice, let me try to finish learning Maseches Bava Kama so that I can eat meat during the 9 days. You have to look at the context. If you're studying Bava Kama, and you're within striking distance of completion, and if I put my mind to it, and I learn a little extra, and I really focus for the next 2 weeks, I'll be able to finish during the 9 days and have a meat dinner. Great. So, and then you learn, great, that's fine. If you're on track to finish 2 weeks before the 9 days, and you say, well, let me go learn something else for a week or two, and I'll come back to this, then it's not okay. So, if the incentive of now I'll have an excuse to eat meat motivates me that I learn extra hard, and so fine, that's okay. Are you kind of trying to get around the yes? But what's the net result? I'm learning more, I'm learning better, and I am literally completing the thing during that. So, but if you're to enable, so that's the difference. you have to look at the big picture and understand it. So I would again, this is just an analogy of my own. I would say, were you planning to do this anyways, and you figure I was going to give this gift to Sukkah, but you know what, I'm going to withhold it and use it to manipulate Hashem. Maybe that's not okay. But if you say, look, I was not going to give this money to Sukkah, but you know what, if Hashem gives this to me, I think I'm going to pull myself together. I can get myself to do it, but I just can't. This will be maybe Hashem will give me this thing. So I think that's the difference in the context. If you really weren't going to do it, like you say, maybe this will be the motivation that I need. Instead of motivating Hashem, you're really motivating yourself. You're saying, I can't bring myself to give this second month to stuff. I can't really afford it. But you know what? If I can think that maybe in this merit, I'll do it if Hashem gives me X, Y, and Z, and that will get me, and then I'll be able to do it. I just can't. I can't sign the check just like that. But I can sign it conditionally. Maybe that's the right thing to do, because that's it's really me that's getting the motivation.
That's a very disciplined mind.
You have to,
because you can, like we always say, you can trick yourself so easily.
You can, yeah.
That's a very disciplined.
I'm not making a halachic distinction. I'm making a moral distinction.
No, yes, it's a very.
Yeah.
Isn't the four Pesach something that's also the firstborn? They tell you go find the.
Yeah, that's what they do. You make a siyum. Right. That's not as a matter. That's not considered a loophole. That's considered standard practice. That's not even like everybody does it. Nobody fasts.
Tell you right, we have the baby.
Yeah.
8 days before.
Exactly.
About what's that story? I think it might have been like when we stay home and Shavuot.
Yeah.
That
for the cheesecake, right?
The boy was on track also for finishing something, and he was in Seder or whatever, and he was like finishing, and he just stayed up all night, and he was determined to finish.
Yeah, there is a concept like that.
Whatever it was, and he wasn't in all this.
Yeah.
Does everybody know that story?
I can't.
It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, I know. I don't know the story.
That the boy just pushed.
There's a basic concept. You find it.
It's a wonderful story. I love it. That he pushed because he really, really wanted to finish.
There is a concept. That's the whole idea of a siyum, a completion. And listen, that's a whole separate discussion. But it's all about opportunists, being an opportunist. You have to find opportunities. If you have something, maybe it's maybe I'm just competing with my friend. We'll see who finishes first. Maybe it's I got inspired because an event happened in Israel and I'm worried about the soldiers and I want it. Whatever it is, just use it. Use the opportunity as a motivation. And we're very into net results. Yeah, as much as we're not into results, we also, in terms of our own personal development, we're into results. If this is going to make me get up off the couch and do another mitzvah, just do another mitzvah. Just don't nitpick on it. If it works, that's always the guideline. If it's making me be more of what I should be doing anyways, then just do it. Okay. Very good. Have a good week, everybody.
Thank you. This was a treat, Rabbi. I love this.
Thanks for tuning in.
I love this extension.
Thank you. Glad you'll be part of it. And we'll speak again soon. Take care.